Hello there, it's Gabriel, and tonight I'm singing a song called Cellophane. If someone stood up in a crowd and raised his voice up way out loud and raised his arm and shook his leg, you'd notice if someone in the movie show yelled fire in the second row, this whole place is a powder keg, you'd notice and even without clucking like a hen, everyone gets noticed now and then. Unless that human being, it should be invisible, inconsequential me. Cellophane, oh Mr. Cellophane, that should have been my name. Oh Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. I tell ya, Cellophane, oh Mr. Cellophane, that should have been my name. Oh Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, never know I'm there. Suppose you was a little cat, and living in a person's flat, who fed you fish and scratched your ear, you'd notice some. Suppose you was a woman wed, and sleeping in a double bed beside one man for 7 years, you'd notice some. A human being's made of more than air. With all that bulk, you're bound to see him there. Unless that human being next to you is unimpressive, undistinguished, you know who. Cellophane, oh Mr. Cellophane, that should have been my name. Oh Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. I tell ya, Cellophane, oh Mr. Cellophane, that should have been my name. Oh Mr. Cellophane, 'cause you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. Never even know I'm there. So, we're still rolling, it looks like. Just fix this up a little bit more level. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, this is the first video I made in a while because I think I was supposed to be working on some other things, and so that's what I've been doing. Yeah, you're definitely going to see what I mean by that. I have been hitting the computer and doing some research. And yeah, not spending too much time outside in this 20-degree weather by the fire, but still I have been able to get some nice leisure time in. At least I'm, still able to, I don't know, I've been doing a lot of stuff. Preparing for a Frisbee tournament this weekend with the alums, the B team alums. Should be fun. I'm trying to get some better lighting here. I really thought I had this down, but then this kind of changed the structure of the fire a little bit, and that's definitely not a metaphor for anything. Anyway, hopefully you guys can see okay, and if you can't, I'm Mr. Cellophane, okay? Funny story. While I was in high school, I literally changed my Facebook name to Gabriel Cellophane Schmidt because I felt like people couldn't see me. And my friends all became very confused and concerned. So yeah, I've been researching a lot about the Bible, and man, I had this crazy dream the other night. Oh man, this is the year, let me tell you. You know, last year I learned more than I had in the previous 23 years of my life combined. This year, I'm going to be taking command more than I have in the previous 24 years combined. And that is not anything I would seek personally. That is just the thing I signed up to do here. And people are going to answer the call. Those are the dreams I'm having. I'm having dreams where I see the people answering the call. And it's a little intimidating. But at the same time, that's the growth. That's the efficient use of catalyst, as they might say, in the Law of One. So I've been reading the Law of One, hint, hint, and yeah, that's going to be in my paper, and probably a bunch of other stuff, you know. This is they just keep getting crazier. So I started with On Morality, where I'm like, don't compare me to John Locke, even though I think I'm John Locke. Then I went and did 3 treatises on trade, which was bankers, let's talk. And let's all get over this crazy notion that financial wisdom is some secret that's impossible to understand, you know? Then I did On Unity, which was just from God. Can't really take any credit for picking that one. That was just me saying, I'll do my best here. And, what are we unifying against? Obviously darkness. So that one comes across like just, I don't know. I don't really understand. I haven't asked too many people about it. But clearly people were interested in talking about it on the Edge of Wonder live stream that Friday, which was the following day, which was cool. And this one I wanted to write because what inspired me? It was kind of like I don't know, I just heard this crazy Bible verse and I was like, man, when it really resonates with you and you're like, man, there's a deeper truth here that I really want to know. And I think a lot of my writing is about that. It's about that pursuit of knowledge and logic and really laying out the truth as completely as you can, and then just being like, this is my truth, and I'm gonna share it in its complete, in its wholeness. This is everything I believe, and as much as it's heresy, or as much as it might look like I'm the Antichrist, or whatever you want to say, that's the truth. I'm not gonna, I just feel, first of all, like I'm being asked to write philosophy. That's definitely a mission I'm on. Secondly, I feel like the Bible is not the end-all be-all of religion. the Bible covers a span of time that is like 200 years, and every other religious text widely circulated covers literally like tens of thousands of years. And Christians really need to see that, okay, Jesus was the Messiah. Yes, let us acknowledge all the work he did. Let's look at everything he quoted. Let's go into the totality of the potential wisdom we could glean from the fact that he is the Messiah, and not just limit ourselves to a few Gospels and some letters to Jews. And I don't even know what the rest of the Bible is, because I find truth in other religious texts. And that's that's definitely part of this next writing, is me kind of explaining what those truths are. So we'll see how successful I am in that. I can tell you one thing, though. There is a change coming. Indictments coming 2019. But it's not just indictments, It's like, let's say Endgame 2020 is a hard deadline. That means this year they have the Alliance, the Confederation, whatever you want to call it. They have this year to sway public opinion. And I'm part of it. I'm clearly a part of that plan. Profit or more or less, whatever, it's not important, I have a channel, I have a platform. As much as they try to hide it that I do, I certainly do. And people are listening, so let's go and talk about the real truth, and not be afraid, and not sit inside when they're dropping the chemtrails, and just fear the church and these crazy Jesuit popes and all this insanity in the world. It's like, guys, the new covenant. Oh man. There's a real nice new covenant coming. God's gonna be faithful to us. So this next piece, each one is the riskiest one I've written. So this one is risky because I'm not pretending to be Mr. Cellophane. I'm certainly not thinking I'm Mr. Cellophane anymore. That's out the window. And yeah, there's a real truth here that I think I'm going to share, that I think I can share, and that I'm going to share. So tonight I had Bible study. All right, so let me just fill you guys in because it's been a while. So I had a Bible study. When was it? It was like Thursday. No, it was Monday of last week. And we just really got into the idea that, does God love all of his creation equally? And does the soul have a deeper meaning than just one incarnation? And I think that's kind of partially what drove me to write this piece. And obviously I'm arguing that our souls, I understand what a soul is. A lot of Christians just have no desire to look outside the Bible for meanings of words like soul. And think God would create something just to be wrathful against it, even though John 1 says God is love. If God is love, God isn't just creating something so he can, destroy it out of anger or wrath or whatever it is. And also, there's this crazy notion among Christians that, all people are sinners and deserve to go to hell. And it's why would God create people and then send them all to hell? like, because they're not good enough. Like, is God really that weird, like, that he wants to put in all this effort for something that's just, like, a failure, basically, from the start? And then maybe there's a chance it's gonna flourish and succeed, but, like, if you're creating everyone with sin from the beginning, like, wouldn't you lower the standards a little bit for hell then? Like, but Christians are like, nope. We only believe one place you can go, hell or heaven. And that's such a false notion, and it leads, like, religion overall, I think, does improve people's mental health, and that's something I'm going to talk about in this piece, but then you also have anxiety among Christians who feel like sins, if you sin, you're going to go to hell, and that's just the nature of sin, that sin is indicative of your future in hell. And it's like, guys, we all sin. Like, I don't know. That's such a harsh treatment, of yourself to say, like, I'm going to hell because I sin. And whenever I talk to a Christian and they talk like that, I'm like, what are you... That is such a high bar. It's like God makes us sinful, and then that sin, like, it's just difficult. It's just difficult. I think when Jesus said we are slaves to sin, so long as we, like, don't understand there's something where he says any man who has one quality is a slave to sin, and I think that is true. I think there are some qualities of people that do they're bad, and they do get you to miss out on things because you're too focused on those flesh temptations, but that's not how Christians typically act. I mean, there are some, but I just mean, like, not the Christians I hang out with. Anyway, so I think God does love all his children the same, but there's that discipline that comes from karma. And, like, we all recognize that God disciplines us in this life, but they don't see it like God's making a soul. They see it like God's making a soul brand new in each life, even though there's all these differences among souls, instead of, like, there's potentially many previous incarnations that are changing the circumstances of each lifetime, which is the truth. So yeah, I've got a court date as well on December 10th in Suffolk Superior Court at 2 p.m. So yeah, I can talk some more about Bible studies. So we're going to go through Romans 9 tomorrow. And, yeah, I just think it's a shallow perspective, personally. I mean, Romans is a good perspective on Judaism. But Christians already understand most of the aspects of Romans. And I just think it's like... I think there's, like, a few Bible verses right now where it's like most Christians are just missing it. Like, Hal Lindsley is, like, spot on when Hal Lindsley goes, we are in the end times. I, like, firmly believe that. So yeah, it's like, it's a very, that's what I'm trying to do in these Bible studies, is, like, always be like, no, God's loving, and, like, oh, sure, John says this, and Romans says this, but let's, like, talk some more about the soul and God's nature, and, like, what's really going on here in terms of, like, the narrow gate and the fruits, I mean, like, let's talk about, like, the real deal here. Like, what is, like, why do people need saving? And what were the big mistakes that people made in the past? Because, yeah, people are always making mistakes. It's just a question of how well you can recognize those mistakes. Yeah. So we had a nice little party tonight instead of Bible study. They give like money to the, yeah, and we just like blew our money on pizza. And we were like, we'll invite people to come out, but it's hard to get people to come out during the week who aren't in the group. I mean, talk about Christianity. And so yeah, we're like hanging out, doing this activity about how we view our relationship with God, and somebody says like, I feel like I have to perform with God because I feel like I also chose performance. There were several attributes, and then you would choose an attribute or an adjective to describe your relationship with God. So I'm in the performance group, and we're talking, and someone says that she feels like she has to perform for God because she's like sinful, and she needs to repent all the time, and she feels like her works determine whether or not God loves her. And I was like, wow, that's a high bar. That's a pretty freaking hard thing to do, you know, is like really repent every time you sin and not just like kind of brush off and be like, well, we're all sinners, and yeah, just kind of blew another one, you know. That's kind of how I view it. I'm like, well, it's another mistake. Better learn from it and not make it again. When I said that, she was like, yeah, I think we're all sinners and we all deserve to go to hell. And man, that's tough to hear. Because like, if you think about it, you want to be a parent, you want to have a family, like, that's like literally the opposite of what I would tell my kids. I would tell them, yeah, love everyone because we're all equal, and sin is like not even relevant. But not all Christians think that way. I was in the performance place because of the fact that God's asking me to do a lot of stuff. And there's no doubt that it's not like pressure, because I know I can do it, but it's like I certainly feel a duty to like do the things I am supposed to be doing. And I cannot, so it's like partially duty, but then also partially like I feel compelled to perform because I know that there are consequences for not performing. They're not like terrible. They're pretty reasonable. But like just like Jonah and the whale, you know, it's like if you try and run from or if you try to neglect, you know, what you're supposed to be doing, like, no, you're going in the ocean, bro, and you're living in a whale for the next 3 days until you like accept what you're supposed to be doing. Because like shit's all planned out, you know. It's like, anyway, so I'm trying to perform because I understand there's a lot of people who are trying to help me, or, you know, not people, but some people, but there's also a lot of fires and birds and cats, you know, things you might not perceive properly, but they're there trying to help me. And yeah. So I'm trying to help them. And not just them. I'm also trying to like just do my best. And that might sound just like so simple, like, oh yeah, just do your best, but it's not. So anyway, I feel like Frisbee, I'm trying to perform there, trying to perform here, literally, trying to perform well in Bible study and in a lot of other places where it's like, yeah, I know I'm not being like judged for my performance. I'm just being asked to perform, and I'm trying to do my best. And yeah, not just, you know, watch YouTube videos all day like I used to do. Because, yeah, I mean, there's a million different ways to go about the end times. You can just go raw education and try to prepare your family, and then you can go and be like, you know, there's a issue here that we all got to talk about, and then really, you know, find your voice. So that's one of the ways I'm performing. And, yeah, then there's the fact that I'm being helped. Like, there's always entities around helping. So it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to look the other way? Like, you can't. They're not, they don't let you. Like, so yeah, you gotta, in my case, I just have to embrace that idea that I do have to perform, and I signed up to perform, and I mean, it's way better performing and getting this new perspective and being able to share things and finding joy in just like the simple, many things that I didn't find joy in that are actually much easier to attain than the things I was pursuing before, like a career and competitive success. We also talked about like what's your relationship with yourself, and I also said performance because that is all that's like, I also like kind of give myself a big leash when I'm not being when I don't feel a responsibility to God like I do now, but since I do feel this responsibility right now, performance is a huge part of my life right now. So I'm getting smoked out. Maybe I should wrap this video up, huh? Yeah, those are the highlights of Bible study. I've been trying to talk to people and just really make things easier on perspective, at least, in terms of just like dropping those Bible verses that are just like, you can't serve the money and God, you know? And yeah, there's more than just that, but that's a big one. And yeah, some people out here are struggling. People all over the world are struggling, but when it's right in front of your face, you can't really ignore it. Yeah. So, you know, they've been working hard. The people who are opposing me, those entities, they've been working hard. I definitely notice, and I try to raise my effort to match them, or at least exceed them, or whatever I can do, you know. I definitely appreciate that there's a bigger picture here, and we are facing a challenge. So as much as I might shy away from performance, I also try to just embrace that challenge and really share my thoughts and the song in my heart. And yeah, tomorrow's going to be the start of something much different. It's one thing for people to think you're crazy. It's another thing for people to think you're someone they've been waiting for. So, I I'm not allowed to say exactly. I have to be cryptic in this instance. So I don't have to feel bad about it. People can connect the dots. The dots are right in front of them, but that's all I can say. So thank you to the fire tonight. I got my camera out for a longer video because this is the night. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you liked Mr. Cellophane, and yeah. Opaque. I'm gonna be opaque from now on. It's weird.